welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, and welcome to a show without people from New Europe, also known
Yeah,
as the United States. Sean has an internet outage, and I think Walt's been off the show so long now that he probably forgot the time. So it'll only be people from old Europe in this round of the European Ham Radio Show. But welcome, everyone. Today is Winlink Day. And Winlink is exciting, but before we get to that, the ham radio moment of the week. Kjetil, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
it's been somewhat quiet on ham radio for me this week. I've been at the cabin and played around making some antennas, and I did short POTA, got my 40th activation of another park. So I got like I think it's the Fox 10 activator diploma in POTA. So that's kind of fun, but we have some sort of bugs that eat people in Norway called hjortelusflue or deer flies, and there's a significant amount of them. So I tried doing another POTA and walked out of the car. Within 10 meters, I had 3 of them on me and a tick, so I just turned back and went into the car again. So can't wait for winter.
Winter is probably better than.
Yeah, they are annoying. So I think that's about the most exciting that happened to me this week about radio.
I really liked your sheep delta loop.
Thanks. I haven't made the video, or I did. I made the video of that. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I thought I'd post that tomorrow. But yes, sheep delta loop and the other sheep fencing video was actually quite popular. And it's fun to play around with that kind of stuff. Like it's what you will find up in the hills. If you're lost somewhere, you will find this wire almost everywhere. So it's nice to know that it works, which maybe isn't that unexpected.
Not at all, and but it's really fun, and it's really nice to see that those videos are taking off, because that's the trend I see on my own channel as well. Antenna videos seems to be good performers because everyone wants to look at those weird antennas or those new antennas, much rather than an HT review. That's just what I've been noticing.
Yeah, so that was also my first delta loop antenna. So it was a full-sized 30-meter antenna, which worked perfectly on a lot of bands, and others it tuned perfectly on, but I got a huge amount of RFI. So interesting to test this out in reality.
Oh, absolutely. And I noticed one thing with your delta loop, and you fed it about a third up on one of the sides.
Yes.
You can also feed it in the corner, as far as I understand, but I might be wrong, but I've done that with great success.
Yeah, there are some considerations. I think it depends on which type of transformer you have or some other technicality. The guide I showed said to put it there, so I did. I didn't go deeper into it than that, but there are different ways of making these. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and it depends on the polarization you want as well. As to where you feed it.
Yeah,
and Andy says you can definitely. Andy says you can definitely feed the delta loop in the corner. So let's listen to Andy here.
Yeah, it should be basically, if it's a triangle, it's not that far from a perfect circle, so it shouldn't be really impedance-wise important where you feed it, but it will, as you say, influence the
polarization,
the vertical polarization, and also the directivity of the antenna will be influenced by where you feed it. So there are things to consider with delta loops. Not that I know how to do it, but from what I can understand of how a delta loop works, you should be able to tune it for many different use cases by moving the feed point around.
Yeah, and my issue with delta loops is that good documentation that you can just browse through quickly and understand how it works is few and far between.
Model it.
You always find the same 4 or 5 year, decades old pictures about you feed it here, you feed it here, you feed it here, then it's vertical or horizontal, and that's it. Yeah, there's not much more out there, I think.
And I tried looking in the ARL antenna book and the ARL handbook, and it's not much clearer there either. So
get Fornec 2 or that thing that Cal uses. It's the simplest possible antenna to model, and you can just move the feed point around. You can see how it affects SWR and
MMA. I think that's what he's using.
Yeah, MMA.
Yeah. So it's fun. I really recommend using one of these modelers. I prefer the Fornec 2 thing, but yeah, MMA or whatever. It's you don't need documentation. You get your own test bed where you can actually test out
just
without having to go outside.
Want a Fusion 360 sketch to enter my antenna dimensions, yeah, because entering the dimensions is really a pain in the butt, especially when you have like 45 degrees angles or so. You have to like calculate the coordinates in order to draw your antenna wires, which is a bit
it's
painful.
like seventh grade all over again. You get to do geometry.
But you can do all of that within Fusion, Tobias. You can just enter all of the calculations and such in there. So that's the
export the X and Y coordinates for each point or what.
Yeah. So, but as a final thing for my week, since we're gone way over, I did my first CW QSO today. That was quite fun.
Hey.
So got a El Cheapo CW key thing from some website, and I had fun with it. I got one QSO. I cheated a lot because I hunted a guy, so I knew his call sign already. So I just sent my call sign and heard he sent it back in some report 559, and then sent back to him again. So that was fun.
Awesome. Looking forward to the video.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. That's fantastic. I'm actually quite envious. I want to do that as well.
Yeah, just go out and do it, I think you have a great saying for that, Bob.
Yeah, no, it's not my saying. I just repeat other people's sayings.
You have no message.
Oh, sorry about that. I am just preparing for my ham radio moment of the week, but I think I almost got it. Turns out that never mind. We'll take it when it's my time.
Yep. Tobias, your turn.
My turn. I made an unplanned POTA activation on Wednesday because I was fed up waiting for UPS to show up. So I just thought, hey, it's a sunny day. Just get out into the forest and do a POTA activation. It was NFET half wave 20 meters, and the people were every single guy on the band. Oh, the conditions are so bad. And yeah, the conditions were a bit challenging. It was up and down, but for a short QSO, it's enough. Yeah, so I made my 10 contacts even without getting spotted, or well, I spotted myself, but nobody came, so then I hunted. Yeah, so I did the hunting activation. So I was quite happy that I made the 10 contacts hunting on a, in quotes, bad HF day.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, finally the coax arrived. So today was the first dry day. And what does a stupid German do when he gets coax? He climbs on his roof and just installs it. So I'm aching all over, but it's up now. Well, let's see if it improves anything. I'm not sure. I might have bent it a bit too much when I thread it under the shingles of the roof. It comes down the roof and then it has to come in a bend and go under the shingles. Maybe that bend is a bit too tight. I have to check what's the minimum radius. But at least it's mounted.
Lots of coax have two different minimal bending radiuses. It's for bending once and for repeated bending. So I think most coax will allow you to make a fairly tight bend as long as it's once. So hopefully you're all right.
Yeah, but I think it was the Aircon whatever 400. I have to look it up, the name, but it's pretty stiff with a solid inner core, so you should not move it around a lot, because you will break the inner conductor after rearranging it multiple times. But yeah, that was my ham radio week. Vacation's over. Tomorrow I'm back at the day job. Hooray! So just smile danger into the face, and Bob?
Yeah, I survived. Let's start with the Winlink thing because that's what we're going to talk about afterwards. I've done Winlink. I deboxed my D75 finally, and figured out how to do Winlink from the iPhone. And there's even a video in a landscape format, for people that might be interested in iPhones and D75s. Pretty happy with that. That radio is every bit as good as I hope it would be. So I'm looking forward to doing many more cool things with that. Other than that, I've been, let's see if I can manage to present an image. I've been to Mallorca and done some more. Let's see, will this work? Yes, done some more summits on the air. This is one of the summits that I did. I have to admit, I didn't climb up the steepest side of that mountain. There is actually a long way around that you can do if you're afraid of heights, like I am. But yeah, these are the sort of mountains you get in Mallorca. There's someone said there's no easy SOTA points to be had in Mallorca, and with the exceptions of a few drive-ups, that's really, really true. Most of the mountains down there are fairly hard work to get both up and back down. But great fun, really nice weather. As I said last week, also really nice people, nice place to be. But if you want easy, quick SOTA points, then Mallorca is really not the place. Let's see. Yeah.
Looks amazing though.
Yeah. I think the guy that said that there are no easy summits on Mallorca was Bob LB5JJ. Isn't that correct?
No, I saw someone else say it as well. So once again, I'll just take other people's words and repeat them, sort of like a
so sort of like a repeater.
Like a repeater, yes.
Yeah. But sounds like you had a lot of fun down there, and that's great to hear.
Yeah, it was a fantastic trip. So yeah, if you don't care, if your point is not to collect many points, but having just seeing amazing stuff, and yeah, I can really recommend Mallorca. But stay in the middle of it. Don't stay along the beaches. There's just too many drunk. I'm not going to name nationalities, but too many drunks, let's say.
Scandinavians
on the water.
Scandinavians.
Let's not not name anyone. Yeah. Stay in the middle, in the mountainous spots. That's a nice part. So that's my week. And Morten, how about your radio week?
Well, let's do it the same way as usual, because the other day, I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, I heard some phone ringing in the hallway, or my shack, or whatever you want to call it. And turns out my ham shack hotline phone called, and it was Jeff KS0JD that called me. That was a lot of fun. Actually having someone calling me on my ham shack hotline phone, and that's probably the total amount of calls I've ever had, or the most amount of calls I've had since I got the phone is this week. So it helps releasing a video that didn't really catch a lot of traction on YouTube, but at least someone's calling me. But that's not the ham radio moment of the week. I think you're kind of getting to a trend here. So I'm going to find the right window here and share. Because yesterday, or actually when I listened to this week's ham radio Workbench podcast, I suddenly figured out how to make my remote on and off thingy work on the Flex. So I hooked up a Raspberry Pi, hooked a relay to the Raspberry Pi, and started playing around with Node-RED. And for someone that doesn't know any other programming than assembly and BASIC on the Commodore 64, Node-RED is really easy to understand. It's like connecting Lego blocks and entering a couple of parameters. So this is the total amount of programming I did. And I'm going to share another window here. And then it looks like this. I have a web interface to turn my Flex on and off with. And I've also set up a VPN so I can do this from everywhere in the world. And the whole process took me about 2 hours. So it took me about 4 months of figuring out how to solve the problem and 10 minutes or 2 hours of actual work.
Didn't we have a guest on last week that was producing a solution for this problem exactly?
Exactly, but I don't have that solution yet. That is so this is my solution now. It's really ugly. It's just a Raspberry Pi with a relay taped with electrical tape on top, but it works. That is actually something that I've been missing, especially since I was traveling on business this week, and the 90 minutes I had of personal time on that trip, I would really like to use that for playing radio, but I didn't have a way of turning my radio on. Now I do. So my remote project is slowly creeping forwards. And that would actually make me able to check in on the Winlink net even another time. And that brings us on to our topic of the week. Kjetil, it's your topic. Take it away.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a fun thing called Winlink today. I would guess quite a lot of people know about it already. But just as a short primer to those who don't know, Winlink is a radio-based mail system. It's pretty old, or at least all of the applications look old, and it's made to work no matter what conditions are. So you can have direct radio to radio mail. You can have mail via internet connected repeaters. You can have relaying of mail, and every combination of these ones. And you can also send and receive mails from the public internet. So pretty good service. And I would guess you others here, all of you have tried Winlink, right?
Yeah, I've checked into the net, and Winlink is actually pretty great. And there is definitely some emergency communications aspects to this, which doesn't really apply that much to other parts of the hobby, especially since you can send a message out to the public internet, even though you don't have internet access where you are, and receive
the only
messages.
problem is, if you try it on RTTY weekend, you might have a problem, but otherwise it's great.
Yeah, but then you have other bands. Of course, you can go 60 meters or 30 meters or whatever. There are repeaters there as well, or gateways.
Or VHF, UHF.
Yeah, but let's say if there's a natural disaster, though, such as that hurricane that hit the southeastern part of the U.S. now, chances are that those repeaters that you are able to reach on 2 meters that are Winlink nodes are not connected to the internet.
Yeah,
true.
So Winlink as an emergency comms mode is more relevant on HF than it is on VHF and UHF. There are ways around it, such as using a packet network to reach a node which is internet connected, but the simple way is to use HF. Yeah,
and that would also require that all of those are available and connected to each other and so on. So the major part of this is HF, and you can reach rather quite far on this. You don't need much power. It works. So it's really interesting to work with.
Yeah, I had an experience. I usually just use local nodes for Winlink, or RMS as they're called. But but I just for fun I tried 20 meters and connected to an Austrian node, and that worked just as easy as using a local ones. And that was just to see if there was a local disaster, I can still reach outside the disaster area and get the message out on the public internet.
Yeah, the first ever Winlink station I managed to connect to was Delta Golf 0 something on 20 meters. That was the first time I ever made it work. So that was really fun to see. But nowadays I mostly use 40 or 60 meters, and I go to Norwegian RMSs. But maybe we should start with the check-ins, because we've started a little check-in thing here, and it's still open to check-in if you have a Winlink available. And it would be really fun to see who's on the stream here and who checks in. So, yeah.
We could definitely do that. I see that Chris got a question here if there's a Mac version of Winlink Express, and there isn't, but there is software you can use on Mac as far as I know, although I don't know which specific software you could use.
There is something called PAT, which works on Linux systems, and I'd be very surprised if that is not, if it's even difficult to compile on a Mac. I would guess that's fairly simple.
Probably not. And KM4ACK's got a lot of videos out on using PAT. So I think that's the channel to check out if you want to get to know Pat Winlink.
Yeah, because you're connecting to Winlink through a lot of different clients. And as the name says, it says Winlink. It's mainly for Windows, but you can get it on cell phones. Bob, I think you checked in through a cell phone. I had a really nice video on that. And we got multiple check-ins through cell phones using mostly FM during this week.
Yeah, just pointing out that I used a mobile phone as a client, but it was over RF via Bluetooth to the D75 and then 2 meter FM to the local RMS. So yeah, that works works wonderfully. I had a thought, but it disappeared. I'll get back to it.
So and Dave over at Irish Ham Radio asked if there's a list of the different RMSs, and yes, there is. There's a huge one here.
And there's also a map. If you go into the link I posted in there, you'll see all of them. And there you can also do some filtering, I think.
Oh, I did not go to the same link, actually. It's...
I have to say the two software clients I've used for Winlink, which is the official Winlink Windows client and the Radio Mail thing, they have built-in lists that will help you pick a sensible node to use from your location.
And at least from Winlink Express, which is the Windows client, you can actually download the list through RF.
Yes, that takes it.
And I'm gonna remove this map here now, and I'm gonna show what Tobias is showing here, actually.
Yeah.
See if I can embiggen Tobias here.
Channel estimate and reliability estimate, and of course it only works when there's no contest running near those frequencies. So even though the path's reliability is probably great, I'm sure it's all end-to-end RTTY today, but in theory you can basically find very easily the nearest node that you might be able to reach.
This is my
and that one is then based on them.
Yes,
that one is then based on the map.
Is also built in, so you can then hover and see. Okay, I might be able to reach that one, or I know, for example, that I can always go get contact to Juliet Oscar. So somewhere here, one of those will probably work fine. Yeah, sorry for interrupting, Kjetil. Go on.
No.
Yeah, that map there and that list, that's based on the mode you're running. So you were running Vara now, right? Or did you try Paktur?
I was only successful with Vara HF. I couldn't get RDOP to work at all on my FTDX 3000. I don't know what it is. It's a bit fiddly with the volumes and with the timeouts. So Vara HF is a lot less hassle. So if you're new and if you want to try it, Vara HF is probably the simplest one to get it running.
It is, and it's a robust protocol, and it's well worth the money, at least to get the extra speed there.
Yep, and it's become the default, at least from what I understand, on Vara, on HF, basically because, as I said, it's reliable. There's a bit of discussion there because it is a proprietary mode, but then again, the Vara application is proprietary as well. So it's not open source and it's not something else others can build on, but it also works amazingly good. So I would recommend people buying it just both to support the developer and to get more speed for themselves.
Absolutely. I've never regretted paying for that Vara license. It's been really nice to enjoy the full speed because this is bandwidth limited.
Yeah, I've got to say, I too paid for that license, but what I would recommend is good people getting together and creating an open solution that is not closed. I have a hard time trusting black box solutions. I did pay for it. I'd much rather sponsor someone developing an open solution. That would be a more ideal solution, I think.
Yeah.
Another thing is you can also use Vara for var AC, which is like I'm not saying it's similar to JS8 call, but basically it's also a chat solution where you can basically talk to people, and this is also using Vara HF. So you can only use it for Winlink. You can also use it for var AC.
I've tried that. My issue with that is that it's connection oriented. So you find someone, and that Vara thing have to set up a connection to the other party that you want to chat with. And I think that's just...
It's not packet radio. That's the problem, right?
No. The thing with what was that? The FT8 type chat thing you just...
JS8 call?
JS8 call. That's not connection oriented. That's just, it's a fire and forget type of thing. And anyone picks up everything, and I think that's the most sensible way of creating a chat system. I don't see the point in a chat system of having something that actually establishes a connection. I have tried it, and it does work. I prefer the model for doing chat on RF that from JS8 call. I think that's
but it's not designed to have multiple people on the same channel, or is it? Can you have like 10 people talking to each other with JS8 call? I don't think so.
I have a couple of issues with VAR AC though, and the reasons are going to be apparent when I'm done with my rant. First of all, it's closed source, built on closed source. That's not my real issue. My real issue is that there's one developer, and he has actually kicked people off using his software. Not being able, certain call signs are not able to use his call sign because there has been some heated discussions on the internet, and he has just banned people from using the service. And that's not in the spirit of ham radio. And now I'm probably going to get kicked off of RAC as well. So
maybe I will as well.
But that's my main issue with it. Not necessarily that it's closed source, but it's up to a single developer to decide if you're in or out. And that is not in the spirit of amateur radio, as I am concerned.
Yeah, and you also have some file transfer options. I'm not sure if that is Varac or some other application, but you can also use Vara as a FTP client for small files.
For small files, that is important. I had a guy on VARAC sending me a picture of his QTH once. That took 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a huge file.
When we talk about disadvantages of Vara, it's also the fact that it's primarily created for Windows on x64 platform. So if you want to do something on a modern Mac, or if you want to do something on a Raspberry Pi, then you're out of luck. So, or you'll have to run some sort of elaborate. Yeah, but it shouldn't be ways to. It should be run natively.
And I
think we are getting a bit off topic.
We are getting really off topic now.
Ham radio software is a complete mess, and it's unfortunately mostly Windows, and it's also mostly closed source. So that's particularly a fundamental problem.
Is it mostly closed source though? I think most of the things I use, I get the source too.
You are sharing the wrong window, Kjetil, if you want me to share it, I think.
No, I'm not. I'm just waiting for you guys to finish discussing other software.
But get onto topic after 30 minutes.
There we go.
Right?
I don't want to. I don't want to just overlay the StreamYard window here, though. So
now I'm sharing Winlink. So if you see that, you can please share it.
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Excellent. So for back to the topic for today, we had a lot of check-ins to Winlink, and this is the amazing graphical user interface of Winlink Express, the most up-to-date version.
Oh, it so reminds me
beautiful.
of it. So reminds me of that that email client which was big in the 90s. I think it was called Eudora or something. It's got the
Oh,
same
yes.
kind of user interface.
Yeah, it is beautiful. All you can see here, that's mails I've gotten over the last week from you guys in chat. A few of you have sent quite a few times, but I've gotten quite a few check-ins, which is really cool. So one thing that's some of you guys have noticed when you checked in was that I'm using what's called a tactical address, which is LB4FH-5 instead of my normal one. And that's something you set up here in Winlink Express setup. And you can go in here and you can set up auxiliary or tactical addresses. Now I'm already in my main one, but in my tactical one, but in there you can just add them and they will have the same password as the other one. And that's used for basically separating out services so that you get like all of this stuff goes to this mail address. All of my Norwegian Radio Relay League stuff goes to the -4 address, which is a standard there. So works kind of fine.
Can I just comment? You mentioned the password, so I just want to comment on that.
Yep.
Do not, and I really want to stress this: do not reuse a password that you use on secure services on Winlink, because it's not encrypted when you connect.
Yep. As with every other password.
As a huge rule of thumb, you could stop that sentence after "do not reuse passwords."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But especially don't use this on an unencrypted service like Winlink.
Yep.
Oh, well.
So in here we gotten quite a lot of mails. Last week we had a check-in where we went in and made a new message and selected template and the standard template and the mapping GIS forms there, and we used the check-in. So if anybody wants to check out as well, please feel free to use the check out form now and send it to me, so I have some mails during the stream. But that's basically the same form. You open it up, and in here you'll see it fills in some information in here, who it sends it to, my contact name, and so on. So simple form, and it can be used to check in and out of some sort of emergency. So to see the messages we received here, like you can see the yellow ones, those are new ones that I just received. And when I click them, it opens up the form that I received from that person. And you can see name and which session they were on and so on. So if I got like all of these ones here, go to message and generate the maps and CSV files. And in here you can see which form I would like to use. Winlink check-in, you can select your map provider and just click display map, and it shows this pretty little map here with the locations of everybody that checked in.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and if you then, for example, go to summary, you can go in here and you can see all of these are exercises. They are amateur. HF is 11, 3 is non-available or applicable. 2 were Telnet and 3 were VHF, and mostly on Vara HF, some Vara FM, some Pactor, 1 packet, and 1 with grid square.
0.
0.
Okay, good. So it's not only me who doesn't get it working.
No. And you can then go in here. You could, for example, of course, then go in and filter and say, like, only give me the ones from the last 24 hours. That's 2 of them. And you can, of course, also go in here and click see the same details. So, yeah, this is apparently Kilo Indiana 5 Yankee Papa Romeo's first Vara FM QSO or message. So that is kind of cool. So
do you want to give a shout out for a few of the guys, or? I think the
Yeah,
list is too long to
absolutely.
mention everybody, but let's just maybe do a few in
for example,
random order, no preference, whatever you pick, Yetil.
Let's take Kilo Charlie 3 Whiskey Oscar Alpha. He's sent a lot, and Abe is also really active here in chat. But you can see his location here is from the McDonald's. Waiting at McDonald's, sending radio mail app through Linux via FM. So that's what you can do with this. Of course, you could send normal mail as well, but that's boring. There's some guy down here in Germany who did send hello, Tobias. Really nice. Yep. We have over in Austria 2 check-ins actually, and one of these is kind of cool because this Oscar Echo Hotel 410, that is not a ham radio call sign. That is the Austrian Red Cross, which Oscar Hotel 4 Juliet Hotel Whiskey Jürgen is managing. And other services can also use Winlink, and because it's just a mail service. So that is kind of cool. We got a message from the Red Cross. And we have somebody in Sweden, Sierra Alpha 5 Romeo Juliet Sierra, checked in here. Nice to have you in the log, Rasmus. And quite a few up here in Norway. Bergen, we have somewhere at a cabin. We have somewhere near Drammen, and a guy near Tønsberg, and one over in Halden. And of course, my location is actually over here now, but this is where I started the check-in, and that's where my location is set for in Winlink. So, so this is kind of a useful thing, but not sure. Do you guys find it useful to be able to send check-in forms like this?
It is. I find it useful as, and I'm the guy that usually makes fun of people that says that ham radio is useful in an emergency. But this is actually a service which is useful in an emergency because it creates a link between the public internet and the RF world. So you can send messages to and from a disaster area and to and from amateur radio and regular computers where internet is working. So this is, and I've made a couple of videos on Winlink as disaster or emergency communications as well. I believe doing sideband in an emergency will only make you reach other ham operators, which is semi-useful, but this is actually, you can send an email to your wife that you are okay, even though you're in a disaster area, or that you're not okay, send help. And you can also help the other people around you in a emergency situation. So this is probably the most useful part for emergency comms. It's not as useful for anything else because then you can just send regular emails, but it's a nice tool to have in your toolbox and actually know how it works in case you should need it for real.
Exactly. And these check-ins is basically training for when you really need it in an emergency, right? So you have it set up, you know, all the buttons, you have your volumes set up, it's all configured and ready to go in theory.
Yep.
Also, I think that the idea of this check-in, it probably doesn't make much sense when we do it on a global scale like we did now. But in a chaotic situation, in an emergency of any sort, if you want to organize some effort on a more of a local in a more of a local scale, you can have routines set up so that everyone that is able to take part in this will check in on Winlink, like we just did, and that means that whoever is organizing will have an idea of where everyone is currently located in what's probably a rather chaotic situation. So I think explicitly you asked whether you saw any value in the check-in part of Winlink, and I think that's probably the value that the check-in procedure brings to the table, I would guess.
Yeah, this image, this window I'm showing now, I'm not sure if you're still sharing, Morten.
I'm still sharing.
Yeah, this is something I found under settings, and GPS position report. And if you have a GPS hooked up or some accessible via TCP/IP, or you have a GPS, you can also plug this in manually. And this is a position report you send out via Winlink, which will then also be fed into a TEHRS. And you can add stuff such as a marine weather report. This is mostly made for ships, sailing boats, and so on. But in this way, you can actually send a TEHRS position or location without having TEHRS coverage. Of course, in the day of Garmin InReach and so on, this is probably going to get obsoleted, but it's knowing this service well, it will probably stay there for a few decades.
And for emergency comms, having layered modes of communication is important, though. So this is not supposed to be your only tool, but it's one of the tools you can use in case something else fails. So it's definitely good, and you can also download weather maps and such through Winlink. You can request weather maps, and that is also a really smart feature.
Yeah, I'll see here. I got another one from KC3WA and one from you, Martin, who checked out.
Yeah,
with the stream apparently. But that weather report, that's through Winlink catalog requests, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And this one, you can do this over HF if you want to, which is insanely slow. But we can go in here, for example, and request a WX Arctic and or let's see, Croatia, and post a request for that. Oops, that one, and that will, from what I remember, it will then be sent, and after a few minutes there will be a mail back to you with that information.
See, I have a question, maybe because I don't know all the finer details of Winlink. One thing that I'm missing how to do when I try to do it is, if you do this over RF and someone sent you a cat picture, that's going to clog up your possibility to download any other mail. Is it somehow possible over RF to just get a list of who's pending and then selectively getting messages? Do you know if that's possible, Kjetil?
I don't know that, but that would be very interesting to know.
That would be that brings me back to the dial-up days where you could actually do that.
Yeah, you can still do this
fire up your email client and see how big the emails were and just pick the ones you wanted, because that was also bandwidth limited.
Yeah.
That's a feature. It might not be missing, but it's not immediately apparent to me how to do it with the two clients that I've tried. So maybe some of our viewers have an idea on how to do that. I want to share, because I think that would be useful for everyone that has friends sending cat pictures or videos.
I have not seen how to do that either. Here I got my response for that thing, which has an attachment with an image, which is 35 kilobytes. And stupidly enough for this, I actually have to save it. So I'm just going to open it, copy, and open that in a browser instead. So this is apparently the weather outside of Croatia at the moment, which for some people is probably interesting.
And I see you need a degree in meteorology to actually be able to read that map properly.
It says meters per second and a color scale, and red is bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, in here there's a lot of different messages or things you can check, and absolutely a nice tool to have.
Definitely. I find this not useful on a day-to-day basis, but I find it useful enough that I would like to stay aware of how to actually use it in case I should at some point need to use it.
It's the kind of thing you actually need to practice using. You
Yep.
need to know, you can't sit down and just fumble around with this the day you actually need it. Both that and if you remember from some of your earlier streams, Martin, hooking this up to a radio isn't always straightforward.
No, it isn't, and that's why I think I've made how to use Winlink on every radio I've had that is Winlink capable. So it's easier for people to set it up, because I've fumbled a lot in the beginning on how to set up. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Yep.
And I see that Tobias is actually downloading through RF now. So let's enlarge Tobias so we can see how that is working.
Not well, but I'm trying to do the checkout live now. So let's see if that works.
And you can actually see the speed here, and it's measured in bits per second. So it's not modern broadband speed.
This is not even dial-up speed.
These two kilobytes are taking their time.
Yeah, this is the semaphore speed.
Yeah. And Chris actually has a good solution here that is useful to make field cards for yourself on how to set it up and use it, and that's definitely a good point. Even better if you have the setup on the computer you carry around in your radio bag.
Yeah, and
for a couple of radios.
Use it regularly, because as we say in my industry, bits rot. Things change over time, so just use it. If you want to rely on this for any sort of emergency communication, just use it regularly.
Yep.
To make sure that it still works.
The same way as you have fire drills at home, or at least should have fire drills at home, you should also test out Winlink and test it out on different bands, different modes, different ways, so on different radios, so you know how to use it should a situation arise where it would be useful to have.
Yeah. With regards to your question earlier, Bob, I checked a bit in the FAQ, which is a massive document. And I couldn't find anything about only downloading headers, but it prioritizes downloading small messages in front of large messages.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that's at least useful, but still, if somebody sends you a lot of cat pictures, then you won't get any other mail for a while.
That's true.
And I see that Lee says that you should occasionally update your channel selection list in Winlink, because doing it over RF takes forever. And yes, I've done that at some points where I've clicked the wrong button, and that actually takes forever.
It takes maybe 20 minutes or so if you're on a small small radio 5-watt station or something like that. So one interesting part about these RMSs is that many of these listen to different bands or different frequencies at the same time. So you'll see the same call sign listening on 40 meters, on 60 meters, on 80 meters, and their frequency jumping between them. So that's why it may take up to 15 calls to actually get an answer for it, because they're jumping between the different frequencies.
My club has one of these stations that actually does that, and it's not just frequencies. I think it's also different modes. So you have the same radio setup that can do, let's say, Pactor and Vara, for example, and the different the bands.
So that was the non-licensed Vara version with a stunning throughput of 412 bytes per minute. Took 5 minutes, but maybe you get it during the show, Kjetil.
I got it now, Tobias. So it took about a millisecond to get it on Telnet.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got.
And of course, it's
video-
completely ironic because I'm streaming here in almost full HD through the internet, right? And I've
Yeah.
managed to send 2,000 bytes in 5 minutes over HF. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
all
I
a
also got
certain
a check.
comedy to it.
Yeah, I also got a check out from Lima Bravo 1 Bravo Kilo over in Bergen. So yeah, people are checking in, people are checking out. So it's fun to see here, and yeah.
It is, and I'm thinking just slightly on and slightly off topic that we should do more of these Digimode streams and actually show people how to use different kind of Digimodes.
Yeah.
Yes. There is something called a APRS Wednesday or something.
APRS Thursday, I think it is. It's
Thursday,
Winlink Wednesday and APRS Thursday.
Yeah, I haven't got a completely good grip on how that works, but something like that would be fun to either take part in or do. I think that would be great fun.
Just for the fun of it, the Winlink people are masters of brevity. That PDF with the FAQs has 20,300 questions that people frequently ask.
Yeah. Why does it not work? No.
That's 107 pages.
That actually says something about the complexity of Winlink, though, if there are 20,000 frequently asked questions.
Yes, it is. I think that covers most of my knowledge about Winlink, except for like the operational part on how we use it in exercises, and so.
Yeah.
But I like working with it. I check in quite frequently just to see if there's mail. But for me, most of it is over Telnet. I do it every now and then if I'm in the field and, for example, I'm making dinner or something. Then I check in over HF. But otherwise, I just do it the simple way.
Yeah, but it's as we've discussed, it's a matter of actually doing it enough times and enough different times so you know the tool for when you actually need the tool.
Yeah. So it is that, and also learn to like know how your radio works, and just knowing, for example, when the different bands work where you are. That's also interesting. For example, when you use 60 or 30 or 40 meters.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
maybe we should mention that the guys that run Winlink also need money. Yeah, so you can register your Winlink installation, and I found the registration form, and it's $24 per call sign, if I read this correctly.
Yes.
And then you can think about adding the Vara HF. I think that's $80 on top. So I guess around $100, and you are completely set up.
This to be fair, this is a Winlink Express registration. This money goes to the makers of that Windows software, not to the makers of or the maintainers of the global Winlink system. So just so you know that. Yeah,
that's support for the for this specific Windows software.
Yeah. So
but I have been running an open source project for a while, and these the donations are not coming in, right? So everybody who can afford it, do the decent thing, I would say.
Yeah. And actually, speaking about operating costs and not being free and donations not coming in, we are on our good way to get monetized on this channel. We are under review from YouTube. All the paperwork has been turned in. So hopefully by next week, you can both have memberships and super chats in order to help us run the channel. And I promise you, all the money will go ahead to run the channel. And if there's anything, any profit per se on it, we will use that to make content for you guys and perhaps develop something and make the show even better.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to lie. How much is the StreamYard license a year? Morten? Much
Stream,
does that
a
cost?
year.
Yeah.
The StreamYard license is $45 per month now.
Oh,
Yep,
per month.
That we
Per
we
month,
might need
yeah.
a few donation in super chats, right, to cover that
So
cost.
so it is by far not cheap.
Yeah.
And that is, and we happily do this because we love making content for you, but I don't think anyone is doing ham radio YouTube to make a profit.
No, we're just doing it for the private jets.
Yeah.
So
exactly
I
the half
just
hour that you guys don't see, where we discuss the really juicy topics.
Yeah.
So it's just to let you know, we're not going to be nagging about this, but there is an option to support the channel once YouTube is done reviewing the channel, and that I don't remember how long that took on my other channel. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Would just like to say thanks to all of the guys that checked in to Winlink. It's been really cool to see all of the engagement around it, and seeing people so interested about email, and at least email through such a horribly old user interface and mode, and slow speeds and everything. That is fun. So I really enjoyed that.
And I think, let's be honest, we're all guys that remember dial-up internet.
I remember Outlook Express.
It's some part of, for me, it's part nostalgia when I go into Winlink. It gives me that dial-up feeling again, which I haven't had for years.
My first telephone modem was a 1200 baud modem, so that's not unlike Winlink.
When I tested that 30-meter delta loop antenna for Winlink, and I got a bit over 1.2 kilobit per minute of transfer speed. So you can't complain about that, can you?
Especially since it's per minute.
Yeah, per minute.
I got some ideas since we're diving into the kind of nostalgia topics. Let's just discuss it open. I've been thinking about setting up a packet BBS, or at least looking into getting that up and running, and perhaps doing it both on RF and the internet, since it might be not reachable from all of the world, since packet radio is not what it once was. But setting up a packet BBS would be a really fun thing to do.
Yep. Can you put it on DMR?
I'll supply the radio and the hardware if we can find a really good QTH for that thing, so that it's visible from a large area. I have everything we need to set that up, except for the excellent QTH. So
I have a pretty decent QTH. So let's discuss this and see if we can get a packet BBS up and running. That would be so amazing. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I see there's one question we missed here from Irish Ham Radio from 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I started actually, so I could find it, and I would say that yes, a simplex RF message over Winlink counts as a QSO.
Absolutely. So you can, in theory, you can activate the POTA or SOTA with the Winlink only, which would be quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a question here from Alpine Radio Waves as well. And
which game do you want to play?
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen War Games, you should really watch that.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to an end, actually, on the Winlink side of things. It's been fun to see your presentation, and you're in charge next week as well, Kjetil. So what do we have to look forward to then?
Next week, we're getting a visitor. We're getting we're getting Carl in to talk about Bunkers on the Air, or the worldwide Bunkers on the Air program, which started up over in the UK. And which is spreading out. So we're getting basically an introduction to that. So gonna be fun.
I really look forward to that, and I really look forward to bunkers on the air gaining, let's say, a global momentum. If that's possible to happen, we'll actually see what happens and probably learn a little bit more about that next week.
Yeah, and like they are looking for new people to want to run their program and so on. So if you would be interested in that, join us. You can ask him questions live, and that's going to be really fun because a lot of people have bunkers lying around that can be activated. So
Have them lying around.
Yeah.
and I see that. I see that we got a comment here from Peter. He's running a packet station. Lots of fun. And Peter, if you're not in our Discord, please join. We need to discuss this further on. hamshow.eu/Discord.
Yeah, maybe at some point we'll create a channel there for packet as well. I think that Winlink channel got really popular really quickly.
Yep.
So and Chris has a question for next week here. We'll just leave it at that. So So and we'll find out more about that. And if you want, we'll make a packet radio channel in the Discord. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week, 7-3, and have a great week.
7-3.
Bye guys.
7-3.